This video is for people who are losing faith in the United States, but who don't know why. That's what I'm talking about, is liberals.
Not you!
Stay back! I'm warning you, you psycho!
I could have stopped you at the fight promoter's office. I could have saved Uncle Ben.
These are the years when a man becomes the man he's going to be for the rest of his life. Just be careful who you change into. You're feeling this power of becoming a man, and with this great power comes great responsibility.
Life sure is strange sometimes. No matter how much you want to hold on to a moment, you can't stop time from moving on.
Even though the Americans and Israelis claim great success in decapitating the leadership of the Iranians, from the Iranian perspective, this is a martyrdom. So the religion of the Iranians is called Shia. It's the idea of martyrdom, which forces jihad. You sacrifice yourself for your religion, for the common good. This is not an economic war. This is not a war of resistance. This is a jihad. Okay? It's a war against the great Satan to avenge their leader. We will know how this war develops just based on geography, okay? So this map will tell you exactly how this war will progress. This small area, guys, it's called the Strait of Hormuz. It's really the center of the world. So as you can see from this map, this war, it is the end of the world. Both sides have the potential to destroy each other. And it's really a question of how far do they want to go. We can also say this is almost a game of chicken. And the problem is this. The problem is that the Iranians are Shia, which believes in martyrdom. And you kill the religious leader, that's a Khamenei. So they're willing to go very, very far. If you're losing a war, would you choose to use nuclear weapons? The other big question that we have is who gets involved? Specifically Germany, France, and Britain. If that happens, it is possible that Russia and China will also enter this war on the side of the Iranians. This is World War III, okay?
Before we get into the video, I want to lead with my point. So my point is that the so-called liberals in this country became distracted, pursuing what they believed would bring about liberty. This is feckless and absurd. I mean, your skin crawls every time you hear the word liberal. It's become taboo in America. The reason is a distraction at the heart of our nation. We've justified slavery and war and hereditary inequality, and so liberalism has become antithetical to the American project. America's project has been to restrict freedom and expand wealth. America has abandoned liberty and God and made its religion the worship of Satan. I believe that America has to stand for liberty and justice for all. That is what makes me a liberal. I am not asking for anyone to follow me, but I would rather die than watch the world be enslaved to the forces of evil. When Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death," he was not messing around. It wasn't a pissing contest. It was a man saying to an empire that he will not bend the knee. I'm here 251 years later in a country of feckless, impotent fools, and Satan worshippers. I will not fall in line. I would rather die. Give us liberty or give me death. Strike me down and I shall become more powerful than you can even imagine. I'm not asking for America to abandon its values. I'm asking for America to reaffirm its values. If our country is truly a righteous project ordained by the true God to spread liberty, peace, and justice for all, then I'm asking for us to alter the 13th Amendment such that the minimum wage applies to the enslaved population. I'm asking for us to alter the tax codes to make things fairer and better for everyone. I'm asking for us to stop this war, and I'm asking that we make smart investments into renewable energy. It's about liberty, freedom, peace, justice, and security. When the government fails to guarantee these things, it's time for a change in leadership. It's time for a new consensus based on liberal values. Enjoy the video, everybody. Lock in if you can. Please remember to like and subscribe. This video is going to have a lot of vocabulary, a lot of labels. The type of words that I find somewhat annoying when people use them in conversation. I'm going to make sure I define my terms as I'm going. The labels end at the end of this video. We're all just people trying to make our way in the world, and the labels that we use for each other is only to make sense of the large-scale political projects. I think you should watch Ryan Geddie's video, which I have on screen and in the description and in the card. So just click on that and come back. I wouldn't watch this video before you watch that video, but I think anybody who watches my channel should already just be watching Ryan Geddie. In my previous video, I also touched on the loss of religion and how that combined with the barriers to higher education have basically led to a collapse in the national identity. This is pretty commonly understood. People are asking what it means to be an American, and the old answers don't seem sufficient. So I'm not asking anybody who doesn't identify as a liberal to like suddenly start identifying as a liberal. I already talked about how these labels are frivolous, but whether or not you identify with the term, which I'm going to give you the definition in a minute so you can choose whether or not you identify. It's probably the first and most important question in anybody's politics. You are liberal if you believe that people are fundamentally equal in deserving some fundamental human rights and the freedom to live how they damn well please. Another word for this state of being when allowed between people in a society is called liberty. Liberals believe in liberty. It's as simple as that. And again, I want to say, I know for a fact you've heard a million different definitions of what a liberal is. It's what I just said. All a liberal is somebody who believes that people are created equal, deserve some basic rights, and freedom. People are equal and deserve freedom. That's the simplest way to put it. Or liberals believe in liberty. I'm saying it twice so you get it. To a lot of Americans, it's what we grew up in. My mom taught me everybody's created equal. Everybody deserves the basics. Kindness, treating others the way that you want to be treated. Lately, I have adopted a Christian worldview, and it's very easy for me to justify my liberal beliefs, well, because I believe that we're all God's children. Quite frankly, I believe that everybody on earth is my brother and sister under God. It's actually one of the only reasons that I could see why people want to be like a Christian nation, Liberty for all is only possible in a liberal society, and Christianity has built-in liberalism. So when you have a society that's entirely Christian, you have a society in which everybody understands we're all brothers and sisters, and you have liberty because of that. And that would be great for national identity, but I just don't understand why it's necessary, because me as a Christian, I can treat anybody I want equally, and I don't need those other people to be Christian in order for me to treat them how I want to be treated. Jesus never said, love thy Christian neighbor. Jesus said, love thy neighbor. And that's important because Jesus preached unity. Jesus preached togetherness and understanding. I think one of the worst sins that Christians make is persecuting non-Christians. Jesus was sent to die in penance for all people, even the non-believers and even the deniers. And if you believe that Jesus' sacrifice provides forgiveness for you, but not for somebody else, well, that's just a mistake. It's not what Christ stood for. This is why people say that St. Paul is the Antichrist. Why do I think that society needs a new liberal consensus? Why not a new socialist consensus or something else that's more in vogue? Well, I already described that the question of whether or not you are liberal is the first and most important question to ask in politics, so I already talked about that. It's like, what do you want me to do? I thought in America we held these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. Why do I have to justify? I have to justify it because it really is just an opinion. It really is just a faith-based decision. That's why I mention my Christianity in this, is you don't have to be a liberal. Despite what you've heard from growing up, going to school, sharing is caring, treat others the way you want to be treated. You can actually just think you're better than other people. You can actually just take stuff. You can actually just be selfish. It's okay. You are allowed to do that. That's why it's so important for us right now to say being selfish is bad. And that's why, again, I bring up my Christianity, because selfishness is a sin. Also illiberal. All right, so reason number one why be liberal is just fucking think about it. Liberalism is essential for a multicultural society, which America is. Don't let anybody tell you any differently. We didn't accidentally become the great American melting pot. We did that on purpose. It's multiculturalism. It has given America its strength. It has faded in recent years. As a part of the national identity, it's faded. I don't mean that like we've become less multicultural, and in many ways with the internet we have become even more multicultural. As part of the national American identity, right? The American melting pot, it has faded into the background. I think that is part of a reason why, hypothetically, an immigrant to America is less likely to see themselves as American, even if they are like a legal citizen, because the people who do identify as Americans would not identify them as an American anymore. The reason is going to be a recurring theme. When I say a reason to be liberal, I want y'all to think about our political opposition, the illiberals. The people who lie and abuse the trust of the public. Their goals are to withdraw liberty, right? To make it a conditional thing, okay? They don't want multiculturalism. They don't want even legal immigrants, American citizens, to identify as Americans, because they want a specific group of people to identify as Americans, because if you can have a specific identity group that you derive your power from, and then you disenfranchise everybody except for that identity group, then you can maintain your power forever. That's the goal of the illiberals, is to basically get on top of our society. While we are a trusting society, we elected these people, we expect them to do their job, but they are illiberal. So they are going to betray our trust and, try to create a monoculture that votes and then disenfranchise everybody else and then perpetuate their power for as long as they can, and they're going to do lots and lots of very evil shit along the way. That's because they worship Satan. Yeah, a reason that liberalism has come out of fashion lately is that it's been dead and hollow for a very long time, and we're going to talk about how long, what might have killed liberalism. The idea of treating people the way you want to be treated. Sharing is caring, etc. You understand these values that are like elementary school, like stuff, like the kind of stuff that your first grade teacher makes you do as like a way of resolving conflict, but you don't actually see the purpose of it other than not causing problems, right? And so liberalism, instead of being this revolutionary acknowledgement of humanity and understanding of all of our place under God, it becomes a reflexive and impotent way of dealing with confrontation. We stopped punishing selfishness at some point, and then we started rewarding it. I'm speaking specifically of our tax code when I'm saying that, and I have a whole video called What's Wrong with the Economy that you could check out if you don't believe me. Yeah, and then you get No Child Left Behind in the early 2000s, and like I already said, the decline in church participation, morality, and national identity have basically just become like words that we say to each other. Like things that Obama says before drone striking his trillionth household, for example. The next reason that I think that a more activated version of liberalism needs to return is that a moral truth has to be reasserted. It is wrong to be selfish. What am I gonna say to back that up? Nothing. You believe it or you don't. And if you do believe that it's wrong to be selfish, then you and I are on the same team politically. Hell, you're my brother under God. You're my sister under God. We may disagree about specific policy, but you and I both agree those Mexicans shouldn't be put in a concentration camp because they're actually children of God just like us. You and I can agree. You and I are allies. My political enemies are illiberal. They cross moral lines for clout, okay? It's a failure of our system that this is allowed to happen. And I'll make it a little bit more plain. I'll use a specific example, which is that Donald Trump has been impeached twice. He's probably going to be impeached 4 times by the end of this. And then he's going to get elected to a 3rd term as president. So that has nothing to do with liberalism or illiberalism. That just has to do with the fact that our system is kind of failing to protect our values as Americans. You impeach the guy and then he doesn't get out of office. He tried to make a selfish deal with Volodymyr Zelensky, and he held $400 million basically over his head to try to get him to go after Joe Biden, I guess, in 2020. That's illiberal, okay? It's selfish and also, kind of violates this idea that we're all equal under God. If you're holding $400 million over somebody's head to get them to attack somebody else, that's illiberal. And this isn't an anti-Trump video. I mean, this is just me using Trump as an example, and we're about to talk about Bill Clinton in a minute. Well, yeah, when people see, okay, he got impeached for being evil, and then people see, oh, but nothing changed. He's literally still in office. It's fucking funny. It's fucking funny. People see, oh, okay, liberal values don't mean anything. It's one step. The American system saying, actually, we don't believe in liberty. We actually do believe that there's people above the law. It is a violation of our values as a nation, and it causes an erosion in society. I mean, it damages the idea that everybody's created equal. It damages the idea that there's people who deserve human rights. It damages the idea that we should all just be free to live as we want. Why does it damage those ideas? Because the government stands for this one fucking thing, and then they do this shit and fucking nothing happens. I feel like I haven't made my point. Well, I guess, yeah, let's go back to the top. Bill Clinton was impeached for having sex with a young woman who was his secretary, which you could argue is rape. I certainly would. I mean, that impeachment trial is when the precedent was set that, yeah, the president doesn't have to leave office. Before then, the closest that impeachment ever got to being tested was Richard Nixon's impeachment, which never happened. He stepped down before the proceedings started, and then he was pardoned by the vice president, who became the president after he stepped down. Because Nixon probably would have been removed from office, which would set a terrible precedent for executive authority. And by which I mean it would have set the correct precedent. If somebody gets impeached, they should leave office. I don't know what you want me to say. I would say if Obama got impeached, if Joe Biden got impeached, they should get out of office. Replace them with the next guy. Next! They shouldn't stay in office. I don't understand what the fuck is the point of that. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's fucking stupid. I look like I'm high. I wish I was. The point is that those four events, Nixon's not impeachment, Clinton's impeachment, and Donald Trump's 2 impeachments, just showed that, first of all, the president is above the law. Second of all, the president can just be selfish and do whatever the hell they want. And our system does not respect the fact that we're supposed to be liberal. And so the result of that is that people become less liberal. And because the state is seen as the moral authority, I mean, most people say, okay, well, you know what? I would have made my secretary give me a blowjob if I was the president, so that's fine. And then when Donald Trump says grab him by the pussy, that's not a political scandal because he's not in office. It is a moral dilemma. Are we going to allow this rapist to get elected president? And because we've already had this rapist get impeached and nothing happened, well, what do you know? You get another rapist president. I mean, it's cause and effect. While, yes, the liberal values themselves were not what was being tested. Because, like I say, these men, they were selfish, they acted above the law, and they were impeached for it. They were punished for it, right? What was tested was the system, okay? And as the system failed the test, the public perception of morality faded. We stopped caring. Of course, the Clinton impeachment happened before I was born. People haven't cared about this shit for a long fucking time. People, this is important. This is like the point of the video. This is the reason I'm making the videos, because I think it's terrible for society. A lot of people, they don't know it, but they don't think that it is self-evident that all men are created equal. People don't think that we have certain unalienable rights, like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. People don't believe it. People don't believe it. Now, another reason why we should all be liberal is the golden rule. Now, everybody here has heard of the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. I'm gonna restate it in terms of game theory. Imagine that what you do is mirrored across society. So, for example, if you litter, everybody litters. If you park your car at the pump when you don't need gas, now everybody does that. If you don't push your shopping cart back to the cart return area, nobody does that. In this instance, the world is covered in trash. The gas pumps are all occupied by people who aren't pumping gas, and all the parking lots are filled with shopping carts. It's a bad society, okay? That's why in a liberal society where we all respect each other and understand the golden rule, Jesus Christ said, do unto others as you'd have others do unto you. Love your neighbor, return your shopping cart, park your car in a parking spot at the gas station unless you're pumping gas. Don't litter. Don't make your secretary suck your dick. Don't talk about raping raping people if you want to be the president. Don't destabilize foreign countries, because otherwise they're going to come back and try to destabilize your country, and it's going to work because you proved it worked. Liberalism is the only philosophical way to address the golden rule in your worldview, because it acknowledges anybody can break the rules and hurt each other for selfish reasons, but it would be bad to do so. My political enemies break the rules and hurt people for their own selfish interests because they are illiberal. They don't think everyone is created equal. They believe in selfishness and sin. Where we honor God by respecting our fellows as brothers and sisters under God, our enemies worship Satan. I also have to point out that the illiberals in power are taking bribes, looting, stealing, and parading violence in front of the public. The golden rule is the reason for those out of control BLM protests that you all heard about. If Target donates to the Trump administration and then the Trump administration breaks international and national laws, then Target can expect that the laws that protect them will be broken in a mass protest where people damage their property. Am I saying that it's right to rampage through Target or break national laws? No, but they are mirroring each other. This is what I'm saying, the game theory thing. Donald Trump does a bad thing, the protesters do a bad thing. I mean, you can just use your fucking brain. Use your fucking brain. God damn it. Stop being such fucking imbeciles. You just look at what Fox News says. You just look at fucking CNN and just take their word for it. Oh, blah, 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 blah. How about use your own mind, make up your own opinion, think about the reasons for things happening, and then decide how you feel. How about do that instead? Okay? If you just want to be part of this fucking monoculture that they're trying to create, you've got money, you don't care. You're just gonna watch Fox News, jerk off onto your belly. You're fucking gross. Yeah, it is gross. That's the golden rule, though. Yeah, so there's some reasons I can come up with for why we should be liberal. This video isn't really about why we need to be liberal. That's just kind of like, I gave you guys the definition. I told you it's important to me just because of God, because I fundamentally believe we're all equal. I have a fundamental belief in liberalism. I don't need to be convinced. But in case you are not a Christian, if you've watched this far, you probably are a liberal, but you don't know why, I just gave you a few reasons. Multiculturalism, morality, and mirroring, otherwise known as the golden rule. So let's talk about how liberalism died. It's easy to look at the 2016 election and say, case closed, Donald Trump is racist and the president. So, yeah, liberalism has been in danger since 2016, and before then we were good. I already talked about the Clinton impeachment and how that was very damaging to liberalism, but let's go a little bit further back. I got a few events, 3, that have been kind of in the cultural zeitgeist lately. You might be hearing about them. These are some key moments in the death of liberalism. That's the end of the Cold War, aka the end of history, the passing of the Civil Rights Act, and the supposed abolition of slavery. So this guy Francis Fukuyama wrote a book called The End of History and the Last Man. It was extremely influential in so-called liberal circles. Published in 1992. I haven't read it, but I understand that it argues that after the Cold War, liberals won. We won! We did it! We did it, everybody! Oh, thank God. The last war ended in 1990. Oh. Yeah, basically, there won't be any more wars because capitalists won, and now liberal politicians are just going to spend all their time creating and implementing the best policies for freedom, justice, security, and peace worldwide. How exciting is that, guys? Since 1990, we've been... Since 1990, the only thing that the government has done is just debated and implemented the best policies. Vocab word. This idea that the best policies should be implemented, the best policies should be decided on, that's called technocracy. So when I say something like liberal technocracy, what I'm talking about is this idea that, well, we've won history and now we can just do what's best for society. The idea that we've won history makes no sense. I would even say it's a widely debunked conspiracy theory. It doesn't work on a couple levels. First is the Gulf Wars and the wars that came after the Cold War. These are imperialist, illiberal wars fought for resources. I mean, there's always talk of like spreading freedom or liberating the people. But well, I mean, today we're back to fighting another war in the Middle East, and nothing has fucking changed for over like 40 years of our post-Cold War Middle East military activities. It's been a long ass time. History doesn't seem to be over. It seems like we're still fighting wars. Yeah, I mean, the technocratic policy, get this, spend less money on the military and more money on domestic initiatives. But since that's not being done, we obviously aren't at the end of history. There's obviously still conflict in the world. The other things that disprove the theory of liberal technocracy being supreme after the Cold War is what I call the 4 apocalypses, which are slavery. Basically, we all end up being enslaved to like a few wealthy people. All of us who are not part of the monoculture that votes for the political power that, like I described earlier, all of us who aren't part of that are basically enslaved to that society. Lots of prison camps. And so, yeah, again, it's explicitly protected in our Constitution. I mean, you can basically check this off your Houston Spangler bingo card as I'm talking about how slavery is protected in the Constitution. It's wrong, and less importantly, it's illiberal. Next apocalypse is war. I already mentioned how that disproves the end of history hypothesis, because wars are happening still to this day. So it's like, whatever. Poverty is increasing, which under a liberal technocracy, poverty would be decreasing. If poverty rates are decreasing, you might be in a liberal technocracy, but poverty's increasing. So, you know, maybe we're not in a liberal technocracy after all. Who could guess? Who could guess? We have failed to act on global warming. This shit is ridiculous. If you're a global warming denier, pretend I'm not talking about this. Like, skip forward. Yeah, I mean, we haven't even tried to keep up with China. And China, while we're throwing out vocab words, China is an illiberal technocracy. Okay, they have a monoculture, and that's where America's heading. Is we're gonna be like them. Well, I mean, not me. I'm gonna be in a prison camp. Probably you too if you're watching this video. They've got you on a list. That's a joke. Here's another joke. Anybody should find this amusing, whether you're left wing or right wing. This should be really fucking funny to you. The Civil Rights Act was passed in 1964 by President Lyndon Baines Johnson, and after that, America's demographic analysis trended towards equality. Thank you. All right, here's another one. A liberal president walks into a bar in the Middle East with his liberal vice president. The president has a deal with the Nicaraguan Contra Army to overthrow the democratically elected Nicaraguan leadership, funding the Contra Army by selling their cocaine in America for profit and taking the extra money from the drug profits and using it to finance the Mujahideen fighters. After spending 8 years ruining America with the worst domestic and economic policy in our history, the vice president is elected as president and continues interfering in the Middle East. The reason this joke is funny is because I said they were liberals. Here's my take. I've already shared parts of it. I think that liberty began its slow death in America after the 13th Amendment was passed. Liberals all patted themselves on the back for ending slavery, when really they actually preserved the practice of slavery for another 200 years. And still going. It is a contradiction. You cannot say, give me liberty or give me death, in a country where we have rules about who can be enslaved. I am aware that slavery has existed since the foundation of this country and even before. In fact, at the Constitutional Convention in 1775, where Patrick Henry said, "Give me liberty or give me death," many of the attendees who founded this country were slaveholders. How do we resolve this idea, the birth of our nation, the establishment of liberal values as the basis of our nation? How do we look at the slaveholders who founded this nation as liberals? And this is a tough question because, I mean, a lot of people on the left just want to move beyond this. They want to say the founding fathers were corrupt and terrible people, and America has been terrible the entire existence of it. And in some ways, you know, I can see the point. Like, critical race theorists are not wrong when they talk about these things, and I'm not here to tell them that they're wrong. What I am saying is that it's okay to accept the wisdom, okay? The wisdom of the past, though, is the light of the past. The light of the future is the light which is to be. Yesterday belongs to the dead. Tomorrow belongs to the living. The past is certified as a finished product. Anything which is ended is finished. That which is perfect is finished. The perfect man is no exception to the rule. The perfect man is made according to the rule of the past. The rule of the past is the law of injustice and hypocrisy. The revelation of the meaning of the law is revealed through the law itself. Listen, the light of the past casts the shadows of today. It's our job, right, to find the wisdom of the future, which will be the light of the future. And we have to find the wisdom of the future in the shadows of the past. You understand, right? You understand what I'm getting at. You and I can critique those liberals who founded our country all we want. We can critique every liberal who's ever come before us in time. But you and I work on the other side of time. This is very important. The future is at stake. Do you want to be enslaved to the Antichrist, or would you like to work on this side of time to avoid that terrible future? Do you want our children to have terrible lives, or do you want to work on this side of time? Okay? We are searching for tomorrow. Good Lord, we're searching for tomorrow. We haven't found it, and it's not in the past. Okay? So when we say those guys were slave owners and everything, we criticize them. We say that's wrong. It is wrong. You cannot say, give me liberty or give me death. We have rules about who can be enslaved. I mean, you can't say it, okay? Because instead of giving you liberty and instead of giving you death, you can just be put in prison and forced to work until you die. I mean, I grew up in school being taught that America stopped slavery because the Declaration of Independence says everyone is created equal. If I continued to believe this, that the 13th Amendment was compatible with liberal values, then I could absolutely be anti-woke, anti-DEI, and even anti the Civil Rights Act. More to the point, liberals have believed that slavery ended in America in 1865 since basically 1865. This is ridiculous and untrue, and this contradiction has basically destroyed liberals' ability to think critically. I mean, think about it. Before the 13th Amendment, hell, before the Civil War, there were a few positions you could possibly have. One of them was illiberal pro-slavery. One of them was fake liberal pro-slavery, and one of them was anti-slavery. After the Civil War, after the 13th Amendment, there were only two opinions. We need to go back. This is illiberal pro-slavery again. Another opinion, we did good. We ended slavery, thank God. So passing the 13th Amendment preserves the fake liberal idea. Even though it's the abolitionist policy, it's not complete. It's just incomplete enough to preserve the fake liberal policy. Unless you're an abolitionist, you are not a liberal. You cannot believe that everybody's created equal and also believe in the practice of slavery. I mean, what do you want me to say? It's impossible. It starts to make sense once you know that. It's like, okay, so we never got rid of slavery, but if we just make it so that employers can't discriminate when they hire, then we'll fix our problems, be able to move on with the end of history. Just one more DEI policy and we'll be okay. Oh my God, just allow the kids to poop in litter boxes in Texas classrooms, and then we'll have fulfilled the founding father's dream of the shining city on the hill. Just one more war with those Middle Eastern savages to spread freedom, and then we can have our beloved liberal technocracy. Yes! The problem is that we still have slavery. It's one of the ways in which inequality and illiberalism are baked into the foundation of our society. Also, while we're here, I did mention this in How to Fix the Economy, but look into what the Taft-Hartley Act does. It was actually vetoed by the president, but Congress pushed it through anyways. The president can take any working person who refuses to work and put them in prison and make them work. That basically makes it so that if you work, then you could be enslaved at any moment, whenever the president decides. That's not even something that Congress could contest. The Trump administration could be, You've made it to the end of this video. There's two topics that I haven't really touched on at all that I wanted to spend a lot more time on, but just because I'm trying to post a video every week, I wanted to split it into two, just for selfish reasons, so I can stick to my schedule. Those two topics are what I mentioned briefly a couple times. The illiberal, the elite, they worship Satan. That's not a joke or like a silly observation. I'm talking serious. Word to your mama, they worship Satan. And we're going to be talking about that next episode, what exactly I mean by that, both metaphorically and literally. The other thing is, well, in this video, we talked about why be liberal, and we talked about what it means to be liberal. You know, we believe in equality, freedom, and basic human rights. But we need to talk about the implications of that, what it means for a society that is truly based on liberal values. And so I'm going to spend some time unpacking those two concepts. If you've made it to the end of this video, you're watching this, great job. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.